It's as much a part of the holidays as mistletoe, Christmas trees, and the exchange of gifts. It's Ballet Austin's annual gift to us, the Nutcracker Ballet, in performance through December 23rd. The fairy tale story centers on a young girl's Christmas Eve and her awakening into a wider world of romantic love. This December marks the 130th anniversary of the first performance of the Nutcracker. From Russia in 1892, the creation of composer Peter Tchaikovsky, who wrote the enduring and endearing music score, and choreographer Marius Petipa. It was a favorite in Russia for years before making its way to America in 1944, the year the San Francisco Ballet performed the first Nutcracker in the United States. And from there, this classic spread to ballet companies across the country, assuring its enduring popularity when choreographer George Balanchine and New York City Ballet staged the first New York performances. Their version on film and video has inspired many beginning ballerinas. The Nutcracker made its first Ballet Austin appearance 60 years ago this month, 1962, and every year since then, it's thrilled thousands of fans during its December performances. Catherine Leon Parker performed in her first Nutcracker in Austin in 1973.
I also will say all the dancers, when you first start your Nutcracker rehearsals, you go, oh, Nutcracker again. But then as it builds up and the orchestra comes in and the music and the costumes and you're on stage, you go, oh, it's Nutcracker time. You're very, very happy about it. And so it's part of your holiday spirit too. So it's nice to have. It's nice also to have it with the audience. They're always different. And sometimes they're very quiet in certain scenes, but they like to be rambunctious, and the children get to scream and yell at the Rat King. And and when the Sugar Plum comes out, then it's her kingdom. They are so excited about it. So I think it has a lot to offer for everybody.
Ballet Austin artistic director Stephen Mills has choreographed his own vision of the Nutcracker. Most dance steps are classical ballet. Other steps echo modern dance, but still performed to Tchaikovsky's immortal music.
Well, my production of the Nutcracker evolves based upon the dancers in the company at the time. So the basic structure of each of the dances has remained pretty constant over the 20 years, but there may be a dancer who I alter some of the steps for because maybe they turn better, or maybe they're more interesting in jumping. So I might make little personal changes for those dancers to really exploit the things that they are really exceptional at.
It is a lot of work to be a professional ballerina. And when you look at the ballerinas on stage, our job is to make it look effortless and to make it look easy, but it absolutely is not. When you're training, first of all, when you're training, you start at a very young age, learning all the basics. You have to work through all the basics to get all the way up. And then when you become a professional, you are dancing 8 hours a day, at least. You're taking class in the morning to warm your body up and continue to hone your skills. And then you're in rehearsal for the rest of the day for whatever production you're currently working on. Performing was my absolute favorite thing to do. In order to get to the performance, you had to go through all of the rehearsals, which were also great. But performing was what I couldn't wait to get on the stage, because when you get to performance, you're ready, you've put in the time, you've put in the rehearsal, everything is ready to go. And then that feeling from the live audience, that energy that you get from the live audience, where they feed off of you and you feed off of them as you're dancing, it changes the work completely. It doesn't change the steps, doesn't change the choreography, not like that. It changes the feel for the dancer, and it creates this bigger than life energy. And I always found that I lost myself on stage often. And that's the goal, right? You get into, for some dancers, you get into the movement and the music and the energy from the audience so much that you've lost yourself for that time period. And that was my favorite thing to do, is get out there and present it to an audience.
I have danced the Nutcracker since I was a small child, back in 1975 being my very first one. And I think I have performed in every year since then to about 2004. Putting a production of Nutcracker together, you have so many people coming together. You have your stagehands, you have your orchestra, you have your lighting crew, your dancers, your backstage, and it's just tremendously exciting to be on the stage. You have the live audience and the lights, just a whole lot of fun. And then it being a live performance, you never know what could happen during the show or during your performance, and you just got to make the best of it. Whatever happens, happens, and go with it.
Performances of the Nutcracker are just one of the many offerings throughout the year from Ballet Austin.
You can buy season tickets to the whole productions, or just there's many events that they have you can participate in, and if you become a donor, you're able to attend rehearsals. Come and take classes at the Ballet Austin studio. They have classes for adults. They have classes for older people like myself, not just the young people. They have all sorts of, not just ballet. They have other types of dance that you can come and support. They have Pilates. So there's lots that you can do. You can become a volunteer, help behind the stage, ushering children back and forth, sewing costumes. There's always something to do for everybody to participate in Ballet Austin.
The music and this ageless Christmas story is unchanged in 130 years, and yet to this day, it's still a treat for an audience that loves it, and a holiday gift to us from the dancers, the musicians, and the people behind the scenes, all of whom share with us their hard work, their talent, and their labor of love. Another holiday tradition on stage in Austin continues to grow in popularity. It's Zach Theater's staging of the classic tale of the season, A Christmas Carol. The story of Ebenezer Scrooge, a miser who is visited by ghosts that transform him into a kinder, gentler man. But Zach's version of A Christmas Carol is unlike anything you've seen before. Though true to the original story, don't be surprised if some of the actors burst out in a pop music song. One of the many surprises in this version of the classic tale about one man's discovery of his heart and human kindness. In the past, the role of Scrooge has usually been played by an elderly man. But this Zach version features a much younger performer in the lead role. He's Austin actor Mark Puhay.
Well, this version of A Christmas Carol takes the traditional story written by Charles Dickens in 1843, I believe, and we update it. We don't really change the language that much. I play Scrooge, but what we do is we fill in some of the gaps with modern music, modern takes, things like songs by Whitney Houston, Beyonce, Hall & Oates, to name a few, Tina Turner this year especially, and it really livens the show and brings it more to a contemporary audience, so they can enjoy it and relate to it a little bit more. But I think that's the thing that makes our show a little bit different. There's still the classical language, but there's an exciting party going on in the aisles.
This idea of mixing a 179-year-old story from Victorian England with music that bends time is the idea of its director, Dave Stakely.
Each season that we produce A Christmas Carol, some of the cast members change, and then I always change a portion of the music. And I just do that to keep the show fresh, but also to reflect changes that have happened for the course of this show over time. So that's one of the great joys, is audiences who return again and again, getting to discover the new songs that I've put into the show.
Mark Puhay has played the part of Scrooge for the past 3 years, a role that he clearly relishes.
I'll be honest. When I was first asked to audition, I was surprised because I'm a little bit younger and don't look like George C. Scott or Michael Caine, like some of those famous Ebenezer Scrooges from the past. But what I bring to it is a life and energy and a real desire to find the truth and the motivations for Ebenezer. I think that you'll find my character's journey in this is as rich as any Shakespearean character that you might have seen, or any drama. But there's still joy and fun and life in it. So that's what I try to bring to it.
Mark Puhay is such an outstanding actor, and audiences have delighted for years in seeing him in a number of classic and Shakespearean roles. Mark has such command of the stage and an audience, and he's just great with language. And it's been great over these 3 years to see how his interpretation of Scrooge has blossomed. It's different from any other Scrooge that I've ever seen. And one of the things I like about it is that, Scrooge is not as old as people think in Dickens' novel. He's always portrayed as a very old man. And one of the things I think is significant about Mark's portrayal is that he is in midlife. And so a person who makes a transformational change has the real opportunity, because his runway to the end is not short. He has the chance not only to transform his own life and live a beautiful second chapter, but to have an impact on the families and community with which he comes in contact for a very long time.
Even after 20 years of doing this professionally, I still get stage fright a little bit before. But once the curtain goes up and I say my first bah humbug, I'm in character. I've got the hat, I've got the eyebrows and the cane, and people treat you differently. So you can't help but be in character. Once you start feeling like yourself on stage, I hate to say it. You should feel like yourself. You should feel relaxed. But once you fully feel like yourself, like you don't feel like you're in that world, that's when you're in trouble, because that means you're just walking around and saying words.
A Christmas Carol is on stage at Zach Theater in Austin through December 31st. Tickets are available online.
This show has more laughs than you would expect. So when you hear that laughter, it gives you a clue about, your pacing. It might slow your pacing down a little bit just to give the audience a chance to catch their breath. But there are also times that are dead silent. And there's a difference between the silence of boredom and the silence of rapt attention. Thankfully, we have more of the silence of rapt attention, and you can feel that. You can feel that tension, and it helps focus you and helps you drill down into any scene that you're living with. But also the sheer noise and joy of people waving a light stick and singing along with some lyrics for some of our beautiful ghosts and singers is just a joy to watch and a joy to experience.
We welcome everybody to come celebrate the holidays in a uniquely Austin way at Zach this season with A Christmas Carol. It's unlike any other experience in the country, and I specifically made it for this city that I love so much.
This family-friendly spectacular often has the audiences dancing in the aisles as actors and audience alike celebrate this unique version of A Christmas Carol's poignant and joyous holiday spirit.